Hello, I'm Beth, and welcome to my Cozy Little Book Corner. So as you can probably tell, this is my first video, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it whenever I watched this video called the Booktube Newbie Challenge. I also saw one called New to Booktube, and I couldn't decide which one to do, so I decided to kind of make a hybrid between the two and mash them together and just do every other question, one from the other. So without further ado, let's get into it. Question number 1 is, where are you joining us from? And I am joining you guys from Springfield, Missouri. Question number 2 is, why did you start your channel? And my answer is very generic, and it's pretty much the one everyone gives, and it's because I love talking about books. Question number 3 is, what is the meaning behind your channel name? And the meaning behind my channel name is I'm quite literally surrounded by books. This is my cozy little book corner. I mean, there's books in front of me, there's books here that you can't see. I'm just literally surrounded in Question number 4 is, what fun and unique thing do you bring to Booktube? And I would definitely have to say that I think that's my reading taste. I think I read a lot more different kinds of books than other people do. I mean, you see people's shelves and they have basically the same books. Like, they have a few different ones, but they're mostly just the hyped, talked about books. And I think that I tend to read less of the hyped, talked about books. I mean, I do read those, but I also tend to read more of the under-hyped. Question 5 is, what types of books do you read? And I read sci-fi and fantasy. I mean, sometimes I do read classics and other things, but mostly it's sci-fi and fantasy is what I mostly Question 6 is, what are you most excited for about your channel? And that would have to be talking about books and sharing what books I love with other people. I mean, if someone read a book I love because of me, that would just make me extremely happy and it'd be like the best thing ever. Question 7 are, who are your favorite authors? And this is a hard one because I love so many authors, so I guess I'm gonna have to keep it to the top 3, which would be John Flanagan, Marissa Meyer, and Shannon Messenger. Question 8 is, why do you love reading? And I guess I just love going somewhere else and meeting these fake people and also seeing what these authors created out of their mind. Like, they literally had nothing. They just created this world and these characters and the story out of basically thin air, and it's just interesting to see how each author comes up with different people and scenarios. Question 9 is, what is the last book you read? And the last book I read was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I know I'm really behind on reading this one. It came out like, what, a year ago, and I'm just barely getting around to it. And the funny thing is that I bought this book like a week after it came out, and I just barely now read it. It's kind of sad. Question 10 is, what book or series got you into reading? Now, I give this credit to a series and then to a book, because series got me into reading, then the book solidly cemented me in reading. The series, of course, is the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. I read this around when the first movie was coming out, and I remember watching the movie and then reading the books and just falling in love with reading and the experience, because I didn't read much before then. I read whatever I had to for school, but that was it. After reading The Hunger Games, I went to my mom's library and searched for any book I could find that looked interesting. Found Witch Over Blackbird Pond by Elizabeth George Spears, and this book is what really cemented me in reading. After I read this book, I just couldn't stop reading. It just became one of my favorite things. Question 11 is, what are you currently reading? I'm currently reading The Tournament at Gorland by John Flanagan. This is a Ranger's Apprentice Earlier Years, which is a spin-off series of his Ranger's Apprentice series, which is really good. Question 12 is, what would you ask your favorite booktuber? And I guess it would have to be, how many books do you own? Because I love to know the number of, like, how many book people own. I don't know why, it's just something I do. It's like I meet somebody who likes books, and it's like, well, how many books do you own? It's just one of the things I'm always curious about. Question 13 is, what do you use for bookmarks? And I basically use anything. If I can't find a bookmark, then I'll just stick with a piece of paper or anything I can find just to hold the place, as long as it won't break the binding. Question 14 is, what do you think will have chance to overcome with your new Booktube channel? And I think that'll be talking to a camera and not actually talking to a person. It's really weird, I'm not gonna lie. This is extremely weird and awkward, and it's kind of a little bit embarrassing. I don't know why. Question 15 is, when did you start reading? And I think that was in 2015 was when I really started reading. Question 16 is, do you prefer hardcover or paperback? And for reading, I definitely prefer paperback, but for actually owning and looking pretty on my shelves, I prefer hardcovers. Question 17 is, where do you read? And I read on my bed. That's pretty much the only place I can read. People talk about how they read everywhere. Like, they can read on a bus, they can read out and about. It's like, how do you focus on the book? It's like my mind is like everywhere else except for the book. Question 18 is ebook or physical book, and I actually haven't read an ebook. I tried, but I haven't been able to get into it. I just don't like reading ebooks, so definitely physical book. Question 19 is, how did you discover Booktube? And I think it was right after I started getting into reading. About that time, I went and I started looking for book reviews for a book I was searching up, and I remember stumbling upon a booktuber who was talking about it. I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. So I started watching their videos, and from there I just kind of spiderwebbed out and found other people's videos. Okay, that is it for this video. I hope you guys like it. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment down in the comment section telling me what your favorite book is.